Alright, I'm going to do a video here on how I go about binding my Spektrum receivers, if that's alright with you. Let me move some of this stuff out the way. Okay, because I wanted to put this one in my little prototype, and I still have to bind the RunCam SW5 to the radio. And I just learned how to do it via clean flight or beta flight in the CLI. I wrote it all down, and I did it a couple of times already with full success, but I think I'm gonna do it my way this time. Alright, so let's see what we got here. Turn on the transmitter. There it is, SW5. And turn off the transmitter. We're going to go into this SW5 here. We're going to take this off. We're going to take this off. We're going to take that off. And then hopefully, if I just take this one strap off with the little tweezers and a screwdriver, I may be able to do this without taking it apart. You with me? Alright, here we go. Let's try the screwdriver first. Where is she? Here it is. I always hate pulling on these type of connectors. Alright, loosen up one side. Loosen up the other side. We're going to pull on it. So here's the connector. There it is. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to move it to the side. Then I'm going to take my rig here. This is a rig I made. Just an old 30 amp ESC with an XT60 connector on it with a BEC so that it'll power the receiver, right? And the bind plug, my bind plug just sits in here. So I take all of this and then I plug this into this receiver here, right? Nice. Back to my screwdriver. Don't break off that little piece of carbon there. Alright. She's hooked up. Got me? So now I'm going to apply power to here. She's binding. I'm going to take my radio. I'm going to hold down the bind button.
Binding. Bind failed.
Uh-oh. We failed. I'm going to turn off the radio again. I'm going to unplug this. Make sure I'm in the bind plug. Signal. Power, ground. All plugged in. All plugged in. All plugged in. All plugged in. Here we go again. I was too close, I bet. I wanted the camera to hear it. You know what I mean? I usually put it under the table, like this. Did you see that? It didn't work because I was too close. I was holding it right behind you, the GoPro. But because I held it under the desk, it worked. Okay, so now we're bound. I'm going to unplug the battery. I'm going to unplug this wire that I just plugged in. You got me? And you can do this with Spektrum also. This is just, I got lemon, you know. So I keep that in my drawer right here all the time. And I can just bind up. We got to do one more, so I'm going to turn this off. This is all bound. Let me plug it in. Right. Let's get her in there. I'm sorry about my fingers. Okay. Almost. Okay. Alright. Now I can just hook her up to clean flight and don't have to worry about it. So what I'll show you is that she's bound. I'm going to turn on my radio. And it says right there SW5. I'm going to plug in. Well, this is the first plug-in, so let's go with it. Everything's plugged in. Uh-oh. Oh, we have to go into clean flight and set it up for serial RX. Okay. Alright, so let's move that one to the side. And we'll bind this other one. Alright, I want to bind my prototype. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to plug in my serial, my RX receiver to my setup here, right? And then I'm going to go onto my radio. And set up a new model. And we're going to call it... Okay, so I made a model here, prototype, and I'm going to turn it off. And again, this is how I bind my Spektrum stuff. Okay, so I'm going to plug it in. It's doing its fancy bind. I'm going to hold this under the desk again. I wait until she says bind complete. So that's that. That's how I bind it. Unplug that. Unplug that. Plug this into this one. Right? Move this back into my drawer. And it'll work vice versa, Spektrum, non-Spektrum. Okay, so let me turn this off, Cycle Power, just because I like to do that. I don't think you have to do that, but here's the Cycle Power, and let's hope that nothing goes goofy here. I don't know what kind of firmware I haven't yet to plug this in to any kind of board or USB. Everything looks good so far, except she's not bound. But again, that's all in clean flight. Alright, so that's how I bind my Spektrum satellite receivers. Now I'm going to hook them both up to clean flight and go through the settings. Maybe I'll record it. You want to see it?